Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. This week, we have artist, instructor, and owner of Glass Arts Collective, the quirky one herself, Nancy Dillingham Marks. Welcome to the show, Nancy.
Hi, LeTroy. I'm glad to be here.
All right, great to have you. So, let's just start off with the basics. Let's start off at the beginning. Just talk about the journey of Nancy Dillingham Marks from a childhood when you first fell in love with art, and just take us down that ride.
Well, first off, I didn't fall in love with art as a child. I did it
Really?
as an adult.
That's a beautiful thing.
I never really thought I had a creative bone in my body.
Uh-huh.
I tried lots of different things, except for coloring. And even then, I couldn't color within the lines. So I just thought that wasn't something for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually learned about this incredible passion for fused glass because of my mom. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. It she is at an assisted living facility. They had someone come on site and teach fused glass. I'd never heard of it, didn't know anything about it, but she was so excited. So I begrudgingly dragged myself to a class so I could understand what she was doing because I wanted to do it with her. And the motivation for me was Mom didn't care if I was good at it or not.
Uh-huh.
She just wanted something else to do with me just as much as I wanted something else to do with her.
Right.
So, I still had that mindset. I dragged my feet. I looked like a, third grader being told they had to go have their teeth brushed. No, don't make me do it. But I said, this is for Mom. This is for Mom. I can do it. I can do it. And boy, am I ever glad I did. Listening to yourself talk is one of the worst things you can do because I almost missed out on something really incredible.
Right. So did you have flashbacks to being a kid with Mom telling you to do something and you reluctantly did it, or you did it and then fell in love with it? Like, talk about that.
No, for the most part. Mom was really cool in other ways. Mind you, I had to take piano lessons and I really didn't care for it, but I love music. But Mom was really good, and so was my dad, about saying, always try to give something new a try. You have to try it at least. And then things like, well, if somebody says no, that doesn't mean they don't like you or anything. But if you don't at least ask, you'll never know.
Right.
So don't assume somebody's going to say no. So kind of off topic a little bit, but that was a lot of what got me through my life as a child growing up, was learning to ask. It was okay to ask. And if they said no, okay, but at least I tried. And I didn't take it personally. I didn't think it was the end of the world if somebody said no. And sometimes I would just go ask somebody else.
Right. So you have plenty of examples behind you, but what is fused glass art?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. It is a unique form of glass that isn't as old as blown glass, which most people know about, which is working with about 2,000 degree furnace. Stained glass, which people know about, is working with those beautiful church windows and those colors and the things that you can do, but you're working with a hot soldering iron. Fused glass, you're making it all at room temperature. You're relaxing. You're having a great time. You have a lot of therapeutic time with breaking glass and giggling when it happens because it broke where you wanted it to. And then I put it into a kiln in the evening between 14 and 1500 degrees, and that's where the glass actually fuses together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a special type of glass. It's not just all glass doing that. I use bullseye glass from, they're in Portland, Oregon. So it's US based, which I really like. And it all works really well together. So as I teach classes, as I'm doing things, as I have people buying products, I know that it's a quality product that we're working with to begin with.
Right. All right. So, like, what do you find most captivating and rewarding about fused glass art?
I find the fact that you don't have to be a perfectionist. Well, okay, you can be a perfectionist, but you don't have to be. So I don't always cut straight lines, even after all these years. My lines aren't always perfectly straight. Um, Things don't always line up exactly right, and it's okay. When you're looking at it, I mean, the fact that the magic happens in the kilns where it just softens to the point where it's fusing together, and it softens the edges and it softens those little bumps that weren't quite where you wanted them in the cut. Um, the colors just are vibrant,
Hmm.
and you're looking at the designs. Your eyes don't go to the little nitty gritty pieces of each cut, or where the connections are. It's looking at the bigger picture. And that's like most things. It's not unique in that respect to fuse glass, but I really have come to embrace my imperfections. I'm not perfect and I don't have to be, and I can still make things that people love as much as I do, or even more.
Right. And that's funny because like many people say that art has no boundaries. But do you feel that it's necessary to implement some to develop the structure?
Not really. I definitely teach beginning techniques so you understand the concepts of how the tools work and how the glass works together. So, understanding the basics, it just explodes from there.
Hmm.
And it's, I don't want to say it's limitless, but we are constantly pushing the limits of seeing what we can do with it and coming up with different ideas and concepts. And I mean, so infused glass, it isn't quite as delicate as blown glass. A lot of people see the blown glass with the big bowls or pieces. It's not that delicate. So we do everyday dishes. We can do platters and trays. We can do wall art. We can do table art, outdoor art, office art.
Uh-huh.
Some of it's food safe. Some of it is. Most of it is food safe.
Right.
And we know which ones aren't. So if you're looking for a gift, our gift shop's great for that, and we actually mark right on the descriptions whether it's food safe or not. But it's just so many things you can do with it, and so many different ways you can manipulate it. So everything is pretty much made flat first, and that's at the higher temperatures. And then we have molds that are ceramic or stainless steel or handmade. There's all kinds of things we can do to make a mold. And that's when we start to shape it. It's a lower temperature and it can be fired multiple times. So, if you fire something once at a high temperature, so everything's perfectly flat, exactly how you want it, and then you go, oh, you know what? I want a little more texture. You can fire at a lower temperature and add some more pieces to it.
Mhm.
And then you can shape it. You can, I mean, it just kind of keeps going and going. And I haven't gotten bored yet.
Great. So like what sort of themes or motifs are you playing around with at the moment?
Just about everything. So I don't have a specific style. A lot of people here do, and we have people who are very, very detailed and really use this as therapy. It is very therapeutic because while you're focusing, and it's not just on glass, any kind of real art. What's the word real mean? Sorry, any kind of art.
Right.
When you're focusing on it, you sort of block out the rest of the world. And for a little while, you've got this sort of sense of purpose and a goal, and you're working on it. And it's just so satisfying when you finish it.
Yeah. All right. So when I left UNC Chapel Hill about 3 years ago, my parting gift was this. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I'm interested in learning how to make fused glass art. Tell me what the starter kit involves. What I need to get.
Well, I would recommend you find a local studio. Um, you can do things at home, but I think there's something that's really very helpful in having somebody show you the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And I still take classes online. I take classes other places as well. But there's something about just having somebody help make sure your position of your hands and understanding the pressure you need to use. It isn't a hard thing to do. It's just understanding the basics of it. So I recommend, there are incredible fused glass studios around the world. So yes, I'd love you to come to this coast and visit me and I can show you. But realistically, there's a lot of great places around you that you can find too. But my intro class is 2 hours, and you learn how to cut glass, straight lines. You learn how to break the glass correctly. You learn the safety techniques to help keep you from getting hurt. Sometimes you still get poked because there's a tendency of little pieces of glass being around, which is why a lot of people don't want to do it at home. And then I take it all, you glue it down just a little bit. So when I carry it over to the kiln, it keeps the design you want and not what might get twisted and slip when I'm carrying it. And then I put it in the kiln and I program them to start after the electricity rates go down. And about 18 hours later, I can open that kiln. And it's like Christmas morning. Oh my gosh, seeing all these pieces that you watch people make and then get to see them in full living color is such an incredible gift.
Oh, yeah.
Every day. I mean, I'm living the life. That's all I can say. I am living my dream.
And that's the ultimate goal that we all, would like to eventually get to. You spent 35 years in the corporate world. So just talk about that transition of, going from a structured environment to limitless creativity with no boundaries whatsoever.
It is very different. I had a great career. I learned so much. And the truth is that without even trying, every job I had, I took knowledge to the next one and I kept building on it. And I ultimately ended up with enough knowledge that I could run a business. So I opened my business with less experience in fused glass, but more in how to run a business. And I brought friends in to help teach originally. I did open 5 weeks before COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a lot of time to play, and I had to get out of my head a lot. Mindset was something I really didn't learn early enough. I wish I had learned to get out of my own head, quit assuming you know what other people are thinking, stop thinking something's gonna go wrong. Don't anticipate that everybody knows what you're thinking. Right. So, I did learn that within my career, and I did some great things by bringing departments together so that we all understood how we were using the same information, so that we could ensure that as we passed it on, we were passing it in a format that the other person needed it. Mm-hmm. And that took away so much stress and tension for so many people, something that simple. And so that helped me to realize that how you present things, whether I'm an instructor or a volunteer, everybody's got a different view of everything. We all hear the same stuff, but everybody perceives it differently. So just getting everybody together and talking it out really, really helps with everything you do. Right. And sometimes it's not as easy to get departments to want to do that. But when you explain the end goal, and it's not that we're trying to blame you, you're not a good department, or your people aren't doing it right. It's more, we want to all be able to work better together. And again, it's a choice of words. It's a choice of tone. It's a choice of, and I had to learn all of that. And I did through my corporate career. So that's really helped, because people come in just like I was originally. They didn't think they had a creative bone in their body. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't think they were going to be able to do anything well. And it was fun to watch the light bulbs go off. It was fun to watch their guard come down and to be able to see the joy coming out in finding something. My dad had a professor when he was in college that said, if you learn nothing else in this class, learn you need hobbies. And he said, the instructor was very specific about it because that sounds so corny. But he said, when you get to be in your third phase of life, starting a new hobby at that point is usually very difficult. Well, I proved him wrong. I'm one of those people, if they say it's hard or they say you can't, that's not something that works well with me.
Right.
So I have a lot of fun with that and that story. But my dad had hobbies all through his life. He couldn't do all the things he wanted to do all the time. But the joy I would see in him when he got to do his hobbies, and his was model railroading. And he would build out landscapes and oh, it was incredible the work he did. And he did that into his 90s. So during COVID, he was working on the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
We lost him last year at 95. But I have to tell you, he was a very happy and joyful man. And I want to be more like my dad.
Right.
And so that's a definite positive thing that also came from childhood.
Dr. Todd McLean provides periodontal and dental implant services in 2 convenient locations. They offer over a decade of experience treating patients, and appointments can even be scheduled in the evenings, weekends, or early mornings. Give them a call in Chapel Hill at 919-537-9774 or in Durham at 919-484-8338 or visit them online at gumsandimplants.org.
So there's a lot to unpack there. So I kind of want to kind of help us navigate these steps here. So
Okay.
you fell in love with fused glass art through your mother. So at that point, once that passion just grew to where like this is like my safe haven. This is where I find my peace and creativity. At what point did you decide I wanted to open up a studio and teach this love to others? How long did that take for you to get to that point?
2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the timing was more because there was a studio nearby, which I just love the atmosphere of the studio. And the owner owns a bigger studio down in the San Fernando Valley, and it's a beautiful studio. And she's an incredible businesswoman, but she decided to close this location. And I didn't want to drive to the Valley all the time. I kind of like being in my little bubble. And so I said to my husband, what am I going to do? And he says, well, you're not getting the garage. I was like, wait a minute. We have a 3-car garage. So I said, well, what am I going to do? He goes, what would you really like to do? I said, I'd like to open my own. He goes, well, you know how to run a business. What's it going to take? So I talked to several friends and mentors, and they said, you're more than capable of doing it. And for whatever you don't know how to do today, find somebody who can do it for you. You don't have to do it all yourself. Ding, 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 ding.
Then the light bulb really went bright.
Oh, I had a whole flickering fireworks above my head.
So when you got to that point, and like you said, you opened the studio 5 months before COVID went crazy.
5 weeks before COVID.
Weeks. Wow, 5 weeks before COVID. How did you transition the business? Obviously, we were entering uncharted waters, but from the initial plan to just staying afloat, just talk about that process.
That was a really hard process to deal with. I made the assumption that I would not be successful my first year. So I kind of made sure I had the nest egg put aside to do this. Never anticipated going on as long as it did, but you put it out to the universe that this is the right thing to do, and things happened. So I had the gift shop. So as soon as retail was allowed to open in California, I could be open. And I called the state, and I didn't really fall into any category. So when restaurants opened, I have enough space and tables that I could have people individually sitting at a table that would be farther away from each other than if you were sitting in a restaurant. So I took all kinds of safety precautions. I talked to several nurses who were involved quite in depth with COVID and whatever the state was doing in the hospitals, so that I would ensure safety. I mean, safety's always been the most important thing. I guess that's a mom thing. And everyone had to wear the masks. And knock on wood, no one got COVID from being at the studio, but they did get a lot of relief. There was a lot of mental health benefits that happened during COVID in the studio that to this day, they are so grateful the studio was here. One of my friends actually lost her husband during COVID, and it wasn't because of COVID, but they couldn't do all the, the ceremonies, and they couldn't do everything they would have liked to have done. What she did was she came in and she made a very involved, detailed piece that was a beautiful sunset. And she mounted it over her kitchen door so the sun would shine in. So every morning he's shining in on her. And that really helped get her through. And her comment to me when I asked her about it, she said, you know what? Glass doesn't judge. People are telling me, well, okay, you knew he was going to pass. I mean, the unforeseen things that people say, they mean well, but they don't necessarily say the right things. And I don't even want to go through any other ones, but glass doesn't judge you. Glass doesn't tell you have to hurry up and get through it. And it just created something so special for her that continues to be a gift that she has every day.
Right. Amazing. So, like when it comes to the studio itself, like how many students do you usually take on at a time, and how long are the classes? Just give us more insight into that.
Well, if it's a team building or something bigger, I can go up to about 24 people.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually keep it to around 6 to 12 people, just because it's easier to manage. And I'll frequently bring someone else in to help out. One of my friends will come in and help as well, just to be an extra set of hands. But I like to keep it smaller size classes because I like to give that personal touch.
Right.
I really want people to feel like they can ask a question, they can get an answer, they can get help, support, they can get someone looking over their shoulder telling them how incredible it looks, verifying what color they actually have in their hand, what's it going to look like. So I want people to feel like it's a very open and comfortable place, and not just where you hear instruction and then you're left on your own. I didn't like that environment. I don't want to offer that to other people. So it's I actually have on my website, you can, when you go to register, it tells you how many seats and how many are still left, so that you can know how, if you're comfortable or not comfortable with a certain size, you're all set on that as well. And the other thing from your previous question that I kind of skipped over was I also found a company that needed to have some window glass shaped for some projects they were working on. And so they helped me get through COVID as well with the studio, because I was helping them as well, because they were still trying to take care of their customers, and a lot of places had closed, especially small mom and pop shops.
Right. And you mentioned that you put away a nest egg because you knew that you were going to take a loss that first year. And I know California was one of the states that during COVID, they were, pretty much like, nah, you're not going to be out in public a whole lot. How long did it take for you to get back on your feet, or feel like the business was gaining momentum?
Over 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because part of the problem was I didn't have an established business to begin with. So people are still just finding me, and it's now 4.5 years later. People are still just finding me. And marketing was not one of my career paths that I had. So I am taking classes in that and trying to learn that better. But it's still just, it's word of mouth. And people don't know what fused glass is. And so they're less open to just going to try something new unless somebody tells them they had a great time.
Right.
So I do birthday parties. One of the greatest things is the kids come in and then the parents see what the kids did and then they're interested and then they'll come in the, an evening class or something with their friends. So the word's getting out there. And in the end of 2023, the city of Westlake Village, which is the city we're in, recognized us, the studio, as the business of the quarter. So that helped give us some additional recognition. And I kind of laughed. I said we were a hidden gem that's been found. And now there's an episode of we're on an episode of Best of Los Angeles and on various podcasts. And there have been articles about us in different magazines. So it's starting to happen, and it's really exciting.
Yeah. So I'm like you said, birthday parties, I'm sure. Do you do like couples art classes and
Yes.
like bachelorette parties?
Yes. That's so funny that you mentioned that. Yes, we did. We had a bridal shower here as well.
Okay.
And, I'm always hoping for going back to the corporate world, having more of those lunch and learns and team building, because that was such a part of my life for so long. To be on the other side of that and giving to other people would be a lot of fun too.
Yeah. All right. So, as we, prepare to wrap up, just tell us what's next. Are you fully entrenched in this fused glass art world? Are you going to experiment in other areas? Like, what's next for you?
Well, the studio also teaches stained glass and mosaic. They're not my passion, so I bring other people who are passionate about it to teach those classes. I'm still exploring fused glass. I mean, I'm in the midst of a new project right now that's in the kiln, and it's a little too hot to open it yet. And I can't wait to go peek. And I can't believe what joy it brings me. And my friends all laugh. They said, we haven't seen me this happy in a very long time.
Uh-huh. How long does it take for a piece to, be ready? Since you said you just you have one that just came out of the kiln. How long does it take for it to, I guess, fully harden and take shape?
The heating and cooling. So it's similar to, it's not running at a high temperature all the time. It's similar to scuba diving or a cake where it's going to fuse on the outside, heat up first there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to level all of it to be the same temperature before you go to the next level. So it has a lot of what I would call safety stops from scuba diving days, going up and coming down. Otherwise, you can have thermal shock. I run very conservative schedules because I put multiple pieces in the kiln. I have large kilns and I put multiple pieces at a time. It's about 18 hours.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
It's almost, so it's kind of like baking a cake. You're sitting there, you're watching it, making sure that it's cooked inside, and I guess what do you do the process where you're like maneuvering some of the designs to fit a certain look, or is that something
Not
else?
while it's hot.
Okay.
Yes, we could, but no, we're not. We don't go into the heat. We don't work in the hot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of glass comes with beautiful designs in it, but we really lay it out to be the design we want. And it just gets softened. And sometimes heat will change the color of the glass, or two kinds of glass together with the chemicals that are in the glass will actually have reactions to each other. So again, it's Christmas morning to see what we actually get when we finally open that kiln.
Okay. All right. So I'm pretty sure a lot of your work and the work of others are available for sale on the website and in
Yes.
person. So just tell us what's available, how we can get our hands on it, the whole nine.
So go to my website, which is glassarts with an S, collective.com. The gift shop is actually on the website as well. And frequently asked questions. There's a gallery of things that are also not for sale that you can see that people have done in the past, the treasures that we can't give up and we want to keep ourselves. And we're shipping throughout the United States. And so we put insurance on it as well, so that you're covered because of getting us glass. But we know we're pretty good at packing the glass.
Mm-hmm. Great. And also, if someone wants to sign up for a class,
that's registration's also online. So registration is required to be able to come in, register online, but you come in to take the class. And it's broken down whether it's a fused glass classes, stained glass, or mosaic, to make that a little bit easier. We even have a description of what the 3 different types are before you even get to the class section. So we've got a ton of information. I put it all on the same website because even though there are other terrific companies that you can sell things on, you still have to do the marketing for it. So I thought if I'm going to do the marketing, I'm going to do it for my own site. So there are quite a few different things. And if you're just scrolling through the gift shop, part of the description tells you who the artist is. So then you can go and look at all of that particular artist if you find that there's one that you're more passionate about than maybe another. Or if you're looking for a particular product, you're looking for a Father's Day gift, or you're looking for a Christmas gift, or a vase, or a platter, or a plate, or wall art, or garden art, or jewelry. There's a category for that too.
Uh-huh. Thank you for that, Nancy. So I want you to leave us with a parting shot. I think throughout this conversation, like, you've displayed that that never say die attitude when it comes to making sure your dream flourishes. So I'd love for you to leave us with a parting shot for all the dreamers out there.
Really get out of your own head. Stop listening to yourself or your friends who say you can't, and know that, yes, you can. It takes a little bit of planning. So don't just jump in, without thinking it through first. But you're welcome to call me if you need to, 818-318-1462. And I'm happy to help anybody try to find and make their dreams come true.
Nancy Dillingham Marks. Thank you for your time today. Great conversation, the energy, the the passion. Yeah, I love it. And as you all can see, the pieces behind her, definitely go on glassartscollective.com and, have one sent to you, have displaying in your background as well. You're truly an inspiration, and, I'm looking forward to checking the website out and making a purchase myself.
Sounds great. LeTroy, you're terrific. I've so enjoyed talking with you.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. Good way to start the week off,
Yes.
All right. So for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.